Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. I know some of you probably had really long days, so we're excited that you're here with us now. I wanted to start by introducing myself. My name is Michelle Pierce. I am the newest computer science, IT, and technology education consultant with DPI. I am also going to be serving as chat moderator to help Katie out during her presentation. Just a reminder, this webinar is being recorded and we will post out the recording. So just a little bit about Katie. Katie Bogle is a teacher. She is a great resource for AI in education, specifically as it relates to unpacking the AI guidelines. And a member of our team heard her doing this presentation at NC Ties, and we were just thought it would be a great resource to share out with the field. So that's just a little bit about how this webinar came into play. So I'm excited for the information that she's going to share with you all. Also wanted to let you know that she will also be doing some sessions at summer conference. So if you're not registered for summer conference, please consider doing that. The price is going to be going up soon. I think that's it for me. I am going to go ahead and turn things over now to Katie.
Thank you, Michelle. There is some sort of echo that we are hearing. So just wanted to.
Yeah, I think we had a participant or two that's not muted, so I just manually muted them. So hopefully that helps, but hopefully everybody heard my intro.
Yeah. So at this point, yes, exactly. We seem to be good with that. So excellent. Well, welcome everyone. It is fantastic to have you here. And I enjoyed getting a chance to meet Michelle and find out what their vision was for this particular session. So this is largely what a session that I did for NC Ties. You'll notice that I'm screen sharing with a link on the screen. If you are not driving in a car like I am often when I'm listening to webinars, especially at this time of day. If you're near a device and able to join in, I would love for you to join the link that you see on the screen, which is joinpd.com. There is a six-letter join code, which is RLGPMK, otherwise known as Red Lemons Gladly Pursue Misty Kangaroos. So I'm going to let you get into that. What you'll notice is that it has you on an interactive question as soon as you land there. And what the interactive question is, and I'm going to let Michelle put that link in the chat. So those people who might want to click on it in the chat, she's going to put that in the chat in just a moment. I'm going to go ahead and switch to where you guys can see what that question is, because even if you can't join the Pear Deck, in other words, you're from Wake County, or just that's just not a thing that you're able to do, you can also go ahead and put this information in the chat while I introduce myself. And the question is this: what are you hoping to learn today? You signed in for a reason. There was something you were hoping to get. And what I'm hoping to be able to do is to customize as much as I can for today to the people who are on the call, and make sure that those questions are being taken care of. Okay. If you can't do that in the Pear Deck, then feel free to put that in the chat as well. I'll come back and check that in just a moment. So go ahead and just kind of start typing those while I introduce who I am and what my background is. So I am an instructional coach at A.L. Brown High School in Kannapolis, North Carolina. If you're not sure where that is, basically think halfway between Charlotte and Greensboro on I-85. I've been at A.L. Brown for about 24 years. And then prior to that, I was a Spanish teacher. Some of the other things that I've done: AIG certified, National Board certified, renewed. But part of what's really brought me into today's session is being a part of the NC DPI AI Collaborative. And I've been a part of that since the very beginning of it. And that's really led into today's session. Michelle, I think I can hear somebody else that's not muted in the background. So if you'll just kind of take a look at that, that would be great. So as we go on, what we wanted to look at today is specifically the AI Guidelines in North Carolina. It's a really long, really dense, but really powerful document. And that's going to be kind of our guide. Now, what you're going to get out of today, because I know that's what you're sitting there thinking is, okay, what am I going to get out of this? If you join the Pear Deck, you will actually get a Google Docs version of the slideshow. It will have all of the links that I've embedded in there, and it will have all of your answers. So anything you type in to help your future self, it will be delivered to you in your email as an editable Google Doc. Also, regardless of whether you join the Pear Deck or not, I'm going to give you a link to a Google Doc that has the key takeaways and the how-tos. So the first one is your copy. It's going to be your editable thing. You can take off content you don't want. You can add your own notes. It'll be an editable Google Doc. And the other one will just be a collection of the key takeaways and the actual how-tos. So what I want you to hear from that is I do not want you stressing about note-taking. I'm going to give a lot of different ideas. I want you to think of them as a waterfall of ideas. And as you're watching the waterfall go, you're just going to choose one or two as they float past, because different people are going to come to this with different needs. And I'm going to try to hit all of those needs as possible. So just kind of watch that as we go and consider that filter of there's a lot. Choose the one or two things that you really want to get out of this. Okay. Our agenda for today is I'm going to talk first about look at our journeys with AI literacy. We're going to talk about some staff training slides that I've used with my staff at the building level and at the district level, and also student conversation points that I've used with my students. And then we're going to finish up today with practical resources. Try to make as many of them be pre-made that you can just take and use tomorrow and adapt to your own context. So that is our goals for today. All right, so at this point, I'm going to switch back to the Pear Deck for just a moment and see what people have said as far as what you would like to do. So we're seeing ways to continue developing AI literacy for students and teachers, just working with students specifically. Anything AI literacy, fantastic. Using AI effectively, okay? Identify students using AI and steer students away from using AI. Yep, we're going to talk about that. Yep. ELA, walking the line of teaching AI skills while also making sure that students are learning how to write. All right. Yep. Okay, fantastic. These are similar answers. Anything new? Okay. Mark, if you want to put that question specifically to Michelle, she would probably be able to answer about what DPI's stance would be on specific things. So I'm going to let you put that one either directly to Michelle or put it in the chat and Michelle can see it there. Other stuff, just how to use it. Okay. Oh, I see an art teacher in here too. Fantastic. All right. And then switching, can you share the, yep, she put the Pear Deck code in there. And all right, we are good to go. So I got a chance to see what you guys wanted to learn today. All right. So we're going to go ahead and roll on. I kind of wanted to get a feel for this. So the 31 of you that are in the Pear Deck, there you'll see a little red icon up in the top right-hand corner. If you will drag that icon to where you feel like this is where you are on your own personal AI literacy journey. Are you on the end of just never used it? Are you on the created some accounts but never really touched it? Some of the favorite features, you're actually using it to differentiate, personalize. What about chatbots? You're actually using those with student support. You're creating some pretty cool stuff, or you could be up here teaching as well. So give you just a moment to put yourself where you think you might be. All right, and so that everybody else can kind of see what everybody else is doing, this is where we are, okay? So this is the point where you sit here and think, boy, I wish I were Katie and I was trying to figure out how to make sure that I cover everything from never used it to I teach others advanced ideas. So what that's going to mean is that if I explain something over the next couple of minutes where you're kind of like, okay, yeah, Katie, we knew that. I might be explaining something for people who have never used it before. And if I throw out something that sounds a little bit like, what? I might be going a little bit more toward the advanced ideas. So just kind of listen. If there's questions, you can put those in the chat. And then there will be certain points that I will pause the webinar, not the whole recording, but just pause and look at y'all's thoughts and questions. There'll be a point where I'll ask you to do that. And then we'll be able to, in the moment, answer some of those things. Okay. So that
And
kind of gives
Katie,
you.
we do have one participant in the chat who's not able to access the Pear Deck that said that she wants to emphasize their county's AI policy and why they shouldn't use them when they ask what they know, them being AI.
Okay. Let me go back and look at that chat real quick. Okay, want to emphasize our county's AI policy and why they shouldn't use it. Okay. All right, cool. All right, so that's cool. That thank you for putting that in the chat. And so specifically looking at policy. Thank you for that. Thank you, Michelle. Appreciate it. All right, so we're going to go ahead and move on. Okay. And the next question that I kind of wanted to find out is whether you are working in the classroom level, whether you're working at the school level, the district level, or at the regional state level. That kind of gives me an idea of where we are on who's on the call. And I'm going to give you responses in live time so y'all can see that. All right. So it looks like we have quite a few classroom teachers, but then we also have quite a few who serve at the building level or the district level. Okay, and even a couple at the regional and state level. Okay, fantastic. Okay, so I'm going to give examples for all of those different areas, but I just want y'all to see that there are people on the call who have all of those different backgrounds. So make sure that you're picking on the things that are most useful to you. All right. So now that I have a pretty good idea of who's here and what y'all would like to learn, we're going to go ahead and roll on. All right. So again, remember, I've got a variety of audience that I'm going to be talking to, but the bottom line goal for you is that you walk out with one idea that you can try in the next few weeks. Bonus if it's more than one idea, and like a double bonus if you think, oh, I could do that. Okay. So that's kind of your takeaway, looking for that waterfalls of ideas. All right. So let me give you my journey at this point. So my journey with AI started in a social studies department meeting in November of 2022 when one of our teachers said, have y'all seen this thing called ChatGPT? And we went on there as social studies teachers and saw what it could do. And you could feel the shift in the room of what has just happened here in education. So of course, the first thing we did was block ChatGPT for all students. Like, okay, that's the immediate thing you do. But I've been in education for 30 years. And if anything I've learned over 30 years is technology doesn't wait for the rest of the world to catch up. Like you're going to have to figure out how education has to adapt to whatever technology that happens to be. So I started to look at AI sessions, and then I started to actually share teacher-facing ideas with my staff of this is how we can leverage this for our benefit. Eventually, I learned about the student-facing tool called School AI. I actually learned about it through the DPI guidelines. I sat there and yes, I actually was reading them, just reading them. And that was where I learned about School AI, being a student-facing safe chatbot. So then I started moving toward, okay, well, what could students do with AI? Started leading NC Bold sessions, helped co-author the Kannapolis City Schools AI Guidelines, and then trained our district in AI literacy, and then eventually started working even with my teachers and my students. So that's kind of my journey of where I am with this, because the reality of things is that it's not going anywhere. And if anything, it's accelerating. So teenagers are using it, young students are using it, and there's even developing now with AI agents where there's this whole other thing of it doing the homework completely for them. So that's a whole separate can of worms. But what a lot of people have been living through, I'm not going to play this clip right now. If we have time at the end of the webinar and people are interested and want to watch it, we can watch it. But basically, it's the whack-a-mole of, well, we're going to try a detector, or we're going to try hiding stuff in prompts, or hide. Ultimately, all that's going to do is create frustration. And what we want to do is we want to move from frustration with students to conversation with students. That's the goal. And the AI generated image there on the right actually came from a real moment that I saw in our high school hallway. I was upstairs on the English floor, and one of our English teachers was standing there in the hallway, and one of his students came up and asked a question about AI and usage. And he was like, well, I like how you're using AI as a thought partner, but this is how you'd probably use it ethically, and this is what you probably not want to do. And I was like, that's what we're supposed to be doing. This is fantastic. Like we're getting there. So that's where we want to be. As you tackle that, either at your classroom level, your building level, district level, state level, as much as you can, ask your participants what they want to learn. So this was a sample of one of the ones I did from the students. And honestly, I was surprised that they had some concerns that I hadn't even thought about. And so that helped me whenever I went through to create my student-facing lessons. There was stuff that I put in there about the environmental impact of generative AI. Who knew they cared about that? They do. They were very concerned about AI art. So I was able to customize my AI literacy lessons through the lens of things that they cared about. So that would be my first takeaway for you, is ask them what they want to learn. All right, so the next several are going to be actual staff's lesson slides that I have used. Okay, so one of the first things that I try to do when I'm talking to teachers about AI is I explain to them that AI is not going to take their job. And I love this quote from Fred Rogers, because this goes back to the very beginnings of the internet. This is not even AI. And the key phrase here is, computers don't begin to compare in significance to the teacher-child relationship. A computer can help you learn to spell hug, but it can never know the risk or the joy of actually giving or receiving one. And just reminding teachers that the human-to-human connection is where the real power is in education. All right. Also, you may have to explain to your staff the difference between what these different tools are, and explain that large language models are your big players, okay? ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, Copilot, Grok, Perplexity. But then there are these things called wrappers that take those large language models and do something that is student or teacher facing. And so just helping people to understand the difference between a foundational model and a wrapper is a good thing as far as just basic understanding for people. One of the gifts you're going to get from me today, as one of the free stuff, is you're going to get some slideshows. And this is a quote out of one of the slideshows right here of, public schools are the best hope for closing the digital divide. It's what this right here, being able to use generative AI, is the ability to prepare them to be competitive in the current and future job market. It's not going anywhere, but we've got to ensure that AI is implemented responsibly. So that's a piece that when you're having conversations with other stakeholders, understanding it's not going anywhere, let's teach them how to use it right. So let's deal with the elephant in the room, okay? Take a second and go ahead and put in the Pear Deck, where is an example of something that whenever you hear the word students using AI, like the next thing you come up with is cheating. Like that's whenever people usually hear about students using AI, that's immediately the next stage that people jump to. While you're typing, the AI image generated there obviously is from my creation of the elephant in the room. This one was Adobe Express, but you can play with other image generators that currently OpenAI now has the best image generator currently. All right, so let's see what we got. Okay, using it to write their papers. Yes. The idea that they're online assignments and then humanized. Yep. Copy and paste. Yes. Writing papers, math problems. There it is. I expected to see that one too. Answer questions. AI art as if it's theirs. Test questions, having it right for them. Yep. Yes, using language they don't even understand. Okay, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. So the reality with these issues is there is not just one issue with just one fix. Okay, this one I got credit from Matt Miller. If you don't follow him, you should. It's Ditch That Textbook. Totally recommend it. But basically, the idea is you don't get to, if you have an issue with your foundation, you don't rip up your entire foundation and put a brand new foundation back again. You're going to have to fix one little piece here and one little piece there and one little piece there. Okay. So just kind of keep that in mind as we start looking at this. This is not just a one issue thing. So let's deal with that elephant in the room. First of all, students are often using AI unethically without realizing that the behavior is unethical. Okay. A lot of students, believe it or not, look at, when they do that Google search and now Google has the AI overview built in there, they don't even recognize that that's using AI. I've had students who cite that as Google, like they really think that's just what it is. They don't realize that's Gemini and that Google searches still you have to scroll down. But there's a lot of like confusion around that. So that's the first thing. But then the second thing is that students who know they're cheating are not the ones who are cheating more, they're cheating differently. So the kids who are aware that they're cheating are the same ones who would have cheated previously. They're just cheating differently. All right, now here's the hard thing, especially for secondary teachers. I'm talking to you specifically right here, and those of you who serve secondary. We need to look at the motivation factors for why the cheating happens and then address that. Okay, and the one that I have bolded there on the screen is the big question. Does the grading allow for failure as the learning happens? Okay. So I'm thinking, for example, I was a Spanish teacher at the high school level. We start a unit. In the unit, we're teaching AR verbs, we're teaching the clothing, and we're talking about things in the classroom. Okay. When we start that unit, I'm not expecting my students to know any of that content. By the time we get to the unit test, I'm expecting my students to know that content. That's easy. But what about all those grades in between? All of those grades that go in the grade book in between, are those ones hitting them for incorrect answers? Because as they're learning how to conjugate an AR verb in the present tense, or as they're learning how to say el suéter, they may not get that the first time. And if they're getting dinged for wrong answers, they're going to use AI to get the correct answer. And that's a hard conversation to have with secondary teachers, but it's a real one that needs to happen. Okay. So what teachers at the secondary level especially need to look at is building a culture of error. The idea that failure is a normal expected part of growing. Looking at why the mistake was made, rewarding students for trying, even if they're wrong, not right, rewarding only for right answers. And instead of immediately giving a correct answer, helping the students talk in the moment, human to human, try to figure out why a mistake was made, and using phrases that value making mistakes, that there are wrong answers. I'm glad you made that mistake. I'm seeing a lot of people are getting this incorrect answer. Some people, this is just kind of naturally how they handle things. And for some teachers, this is not like where their brains are. Their brains are like right or wrong answers is the goal. So one of the questions I always get is, okay, well, that's great, Katie. I mean, I got this unit test where I can mark them on right or wrong answers, but what about all those other grades in the grade book? Okay, so this is what I did. Take it if you'd like it. Don't use it if you don't want to. But I had basically a clipboard with a roster with every kid's name on it. And then at the top of the roster, I would put whatever I was grading for that day. And I was literally just walking around the classroom and looking over the shoulder. And what I'm looking for is I'm looking to see if they've given me honest effort on everything. I'm looking for patterns of errors throughout the class and also exemplars that I can showcase. And it's simple grading. If you did everything to your best ability, great, it's 100. If you did most of it, but you blew me off on part of it, it's an 80. If you blew me off entirely, but you were sitting there in class, it's a 0. But up until the date I set as a cutoff for you to turn it back in, you could earn up to a 60, which is the baseline for us for passing. So basically each day they get a daily grade. They didn't know what I was going to grade, when I was going to grade, when I was going to walk around the classroom, because there's always the question of, well, is this for a grade? Could be, not going to tell you. The other numbers over there on the end, 20, 16, and 12, is if you decided, oh, well, I have a limited number of grades to give over the course of a semester. So you could give 20 points a day times 5 days. So that would be another way of doing that.
Katie, we had a
Yes.
question about whether or not that resource will be in the PowerPoint.
Meaning which resource?
I think they put it in when you were going over the last slide.
Okay.
The chart. She's saying the chart.
Yes. So you're going to get this whole slideshow as a Google Doc, and that slide will be on there, absolutely. And then if you weren't able to join the Pear Deck, then I'm going to give you my email address at the end. You can shoot me an email, even if you're watching this webinar like months from now, and I will send you a copy of that Google Doc as well. So you can get your own Google Doc copy of every slide in the slideshow. Yes, absolutely. Good?
Yep, I think so. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Michelle. Appreciate it. All right. Second thing that you want to do when you're looking at how what issues we need to fix. Cheat on your own assignment like a student. Okay. That's your next hack. Cheat like a student. Take your exact, whatever it is you're planning on giving the kids, and then go try to see if you can make AI do it for you. Okay. And I'm going to let you look at this quote from a teacher. I'm not going to read everything, but I want you to see kind of some of these biggest things. Cheating like a student caused me to reflect. If AI can generate a solid output with limited interaction, what does that say about the assignment I asked students to complete? Am I really pushing them into deep critical thinking or understanding? Is this an assignment I should still use and grade the same way I did 10 or 15 years ago? Okay, so we have to ask, the assignments that we're giving, are they relevant in today's classroom? Do you need to make adjustments? And I do adjust right here. It says asking yourself these questions can raise some emotions. Trust me, I felt them too. But this is where you need to be honest with yourself as a teacher, and you need to be willing to adapt. So those of you that are not in a classroom setting and who are coaching teachers or working with teachers from a building or district level, this is where the hard pieces are right now with talking to teachers. Is if they can do it with AI, we need to look at changing the assignment. Okay. Because ultimately, the problem isn't the tool, it's the task. Okay. We have now a new instructional design challenge. What are we going to do that still keeps thinking at the core? Okay. How will I see students thinking? Okay. Now, usually when I hit this point, this is also the point where people are like, okay, that all sounds great, but what does that actually mean in the classroom? Okay. So here's what it could mean. It could mean shorter assignments, more of them. Turn and talks. Okay. Especially at the secondary level. I know that that's something that we struggle with. Is it's lecture and then you do stuff on Canvas and they just copy and paste stuff by AI and turn it in on Canvas. But if the structure of the classroom is more turn and talk or discussion or a do now and then show me something, that's a little more AI resistant. That's going to be the phrase I use there. What if instead of simply assigning an essay, we scaffold the writing? So today we're working on just writing the thesis statement. Okay, now tomorrow we're going to finish the rest of the introductory paragraph. Okay, tomorrow we're going to do the whatever. You see what I'm saying? But I've seen it happen too many times at the secondary level where we just say you have an essay on blah, 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 due such and such date. And then sure enough, it's AI generated. Okay. A lot of our English teachers have shifted to paper pencil. There is value there. Now, I wouldn't say you have to get rid of their Chromebooks entirely, but there is a place for paper and pencil. There's a place for technology. Mini whiteboards. Those are some of my all-time favorites. And the students actually are more willing to do stuff on mini whiteboards because they feel like, oh, any mistake I make, it's okay. I can just erase it and move on. So if you don't have a classroom set of mini whiteboards, or if you serve teachers, get them a set that they can check out. That would be a fantastic option. Gamifying the assignment. If you have something that is something like just basic vocabulary you've got to learn, there's a great way that you can just do that using Bookit or Kahoots or whatever. Gamify it. And then what if AI really could help students? Okay, there are student-facing chatbots such as School AI or Magic Student. Those are the main ones. Brisk Boost would be the other probably that's out there. Those are the main three, where you put guardrails in and you tell it what it's allowed to do and what it's not allowed to do. And we've seen lots of great success with that at our school. Okay. But what again, let's go back to the whole grading thing because that's where people get hung up. I have to put grades in the grade book. Okay. So instead of simply having one essay where you have that essay here, and that's whether they got stuff right or wrong is the main grade, what if instead the grading was more equalized across, where you have a step and a step and a step and a step, and then the end product has what you would think of as your standard traditional rubric, but these other pieces have also gotten equal footing as well. Okay, so this is all nebulous. So I wanted to give you 4 examples of what I've seen this year of how some of our teachers have taken assignments and made them AI resistant and actually pretty rigorous too. So first example from English, this is her Book Snaps project. Thank you to Jennifer Ward, our English teacher. And basically what she had them do is they mark up in their book, either highlighting on a book they bought, or you can see sticky notes down here where they're annotating things live with an actual physical book and a highlighter or a sticky note. Okay. But then they have to take a picture of that particular thing, either with their Chromebook or with their phone, and put it then into a digital slide of some sort where they have to write up what it was. It's an easy check. She does an easy check weekly to make sure that they're actually doing the physical parts. And then if any point she wants to spot check that they really do have this, it's not hard. She just says, open your book to whatever page and bingo, you've got the proof. So there's that. Another one was, it was an essay. They have to write about claim, evidence, and reasoning in English 2. And sure enough, the kids were AIing it. So she actually had AI help her brainstorm an assignment that would be AI resistant. And this was a winner. It suggested doing something that was completely based on local teachers. And so this was the premise, a zombie apocalypse. Our world has crumbled into chaos, and amid the ruins, your high school has transformed into a fortress of hope. Bottom line, you have to decide which teacher at A.L. Brown High School is going to be the person that can save the student body. And you have to give the claim as to why that teacher could save everybody. What is your evidence and what is your reasoning? Now, you talk about something that kids absolutely loved. They were emailing their favorite teachers. They were interviewing them between one day to the next. And there was no way to AI any of that because there's no way to find out whether Mr. Messenger, the band teacher, or Officer Gatos, our SRO, is going to be the, it's just not possible. So the kids had to use that. From science, we had them, as they were doing different articles, a Teens and Climate Change article or whatever else, they were note-taking from standard stuff as they learned, but then they took those notes and then they had the ability to make more than simply an essay. This was, by the way, in response to a climate change essay that the kids had been using AI on all the time. Did they want to create a paper poster, a 3D model, or a podcast? Okay, any of those things. But regardless, each day they're being checked for certain things. Was there note taking, your claim, your vocabulary, that little micro checks each day? The teacher can go around and go, okay, well, your claim is okay, but this is how you can actually make it really good. Or it's good, this is how you could make it great. And then you can see down here the math of how that became an actual grade in the grade book. So I did have AI assist me in brainstorming the assignment and building the rubric details. So AI is not all evil. You can use it to help leverage it to make it more AI resistant for the students. And then the final one that I wanted to give you as a physical example was hexagonal thinking. And so they literally cut out terms that had to do with the topic and then move them around on the table. Got mine right over there. And anything that touches has to go in the same sentence. So for example, assignment is touching whiteboard. So the assignments are written on the whiteboard. Or you have to listen to the bell to make sure you don't miss the bus. Those two are touching. So the physical moving in the real world is AI resistant. They can't use that they have to use their brains to figure that out in the moment. So those are just 4 quick examples of what you can actually do that is AI resistant and rigorous. Because ultimately, AI tools are just that, tools. It's all in the way we use them. Now, there are multiple different, I'm just going to kind of go through these next few slides kind of quickly because these are infographics and images that you can use as you're having conversations either with your students or with your teachers. So you're going to see how I adapted this one in just a minute, but the idea of what is cheating and what's okay. Okay, so all of these links you're going to get. Out of the DPI guidelines, this is a great idea of the difference between working too hard without AI, letting AI do everything, and using AI as a learning partner. This one is fantastic for understanding what you need to do to get kids AI literate at what grade levels. So pre-K through 5 should not be in front of student-facing chatbots because they don't get the concept of make-believe versus real. If it seems like it's real, it's real. And so it's be real careful about using that with elementary students. Once you get to 6th through 12th and up, at that point, yes, student-facing chatbots probably want to do like School AI, Magic Student, something like that, where you have oversight and you can see everything that the students are typing. And then eventually, as they get up to higher into high school, maybe some foundational model access, like we've turned on Gemini for our students. So the idea is you've got a continuum of time. From the teacher planning side, you can talk about whether this assignment is AI free or whether you can use AI planning or collaboration. Okay, you can talk to them, and they have a student version here where you can specifically say, all right, this assignment is AI free. Don't touch it. And I actually have a teacher who says her classroom is AI free, and she's an English teacher. My classroom is AI free unless I tell you otherwise. And so that's been very clear at that point. The kids know, well, I can't use AI without it being unethical. But what if you could use AI for planning or for collaboration? So you can clarify, okay, for this assignment, you could do this, or for this way, you could use that. Okay. Be transparent. Talk about what is okay and what isn't okay, assignment by assignment. I have a few teachers that have literally added that at the bottom of their assignments. For this assignment, you may use AI to do the following: brainstorm, AI image generation, whatever. Like they've tried to think through what would be okay and what wouldn't be okay. So be transparent with that. All right, let's deal with the AI detectors. If you use those, they are research proven that they are ones that are going to skew toward it is AI generated, but it was probably just an ML student or an EC student. So discrimination against non-native speakers. So we assume that all AI usage is bad. Using it intelligently is not. So DPI does recommend staying away from AI detectors, but I'm going to give you a solution rather than just giving you a problem. Okay, there is a solution coming. And that goes to this other one, second problem, AI grading. So there is such a thing as brisk batch feedback, where you can upload a whole bunch of student essays and get immediate comment feedback for the students based on the rubric that you upload. Fabulous, easy, heavy lift, but kind of my main point here is just like you don't like them using only AI to do your assignments, they would not like teachers only using AI to grade them. So you got to think through ethically how you use that, how you model using AI back to your students. Ultimately, every time you or a student uses AI, you are responsible for whatever you create. This is one of the infographics you can use. Another thing to talk to your staff about is that AI is not human. Okay, it is a math program. There's no empathy, morality, humanity. Call it an it. Okay, if you want to call your AI, your Chat GPT, Laura, or whatever else, because you understand that, then great. But when you're talking to students or when you're training staff, make sure you're referring to it as an it, and you don't make it a human trait. Talk to kids and staff about the process over the product. This is another infographic you can use. And then this is straight out of the DPI guidelines as well, the idea of product to process. And ultimately, academic integrity is a messy balancing act. Tech should serve the learning, learning shouldn't serve the tech. So you've got to look at those pieces and figure out how you balance it, because everybody's is a little bit different. Okay. All right. So this was the point that I wanted to, that was the big chunk. So don't worry, take a breath. There's going to be shorter chunks for the next couple. But what I want you to take a moment right now is, what has intrigued you for your future self about conversations with staff in AI literacy? What have we covered up to this point that your future self would like to have in your notes? And so if you want to put that in the Pear Deck, you can. That will show up in your email that you get. This is also going to be my point to switch back and look at the chat of the webinar and see if there's anything there that I need to address. All right, Michelle, how are we doing?
We are looking good. We've got some encouragement. Tiffany gave you a celebration in the chat, but no questions.
Okay, no questions so far. Fantastic. All right, take a moment, process. Again, if you're not in the Pear Deck and you just want to jot your thoughts in the chat, you can. It's metacognition. That's what I'm doing here, just being transparent as an educator. And that were this live, I would also be quiet, but I'm not really sure how to do that on a webinar to let people think. All right. So things that are connecting with people, different AI appropriateness for different assignments. Yes. Yep. Cheat like a student. Ooh, I really like this one. I'm excited about partnering with students on how to best incorporate AI and encouraging peers to do the same. I love that. I love having the conversations with the students of, and I think I've got something coming for you guys a little bit later in the session, but the teacher that I mentioned earlier, who is a fantastic teacher and made her classroom AI free, she realized that students may know about AI tools that she doesn't know about. And so she has a permission form. You're going to get to see that in just a little bit, where students can ask, I would like to use AI on this assignment. This is the tool I would like to use, and this is why. And just her willingness to be open to that. So I love that here as well. Using AI to make assignments more AI resistant. Yeah, I mean, hey, why not? All right. Exciting, good planning partner. Yeah. Yep. I've found that working with older staff, the person who put that one there, is if you can start small with something that fits a problem that they have. Just a quick, easy lift. That's where I got buy-in from early on of the people who were, AI is evil. Okay, this little thing it can help you with. Yes, you want to do human in the loop. No, it might not give you the right thing you want. But having those conversations has really helped. Yeah, things that are physical. And students, honestly, they like movement. Make them stand up, go to the four corners, learn how to do vocabulary with touching things, whatever. And honestly, you can use AI as a thought partner there too. Of, I want to make this lesson where we have more movement or where we do something physical. What can I do? You'd be surprised what it comes up with. All right. Hopefully that gave you a few moments on the metacognition for staff. At this point, let's talk about talking to students. All right. So I'm going to roll on back over here. Okay. So these are student slides that I have used. This one is one of my favorites. I'm going to let you do this one in the moment. We won't take as long with it like I normally do. You'll see there are little frowny faces, those of you on the Pear Deck, and little check marks. Okay. I want you to drag your little frowny face over to the things over here on this column that you would say, no, that's cheating. Okay. And I want you to move the little check mark over next to things that you say, that's not cheating. Okay. So for those of you who are simply watching the webinar, AI does the work for the student. AI creates multiple versions. Student picks their favorite parts of each version to make the final version. Student writes the bullet points. AI creates the draft. Student creates the content until stuck, then asks the AI for help. Student asks the AI for ideas, but student does all of the work. And student does all of the work with no help from AI. Okay. Y'all ready? Now remember, this is all adults in this session that we quote unquote should quote unquote all agree on this. But I want you to see the reality. Okay, this happens every time I do this session. Is there is disagreement over here, okay, as to what people agree and what they disagree. And the same thing happens with the kids. People assume that, well, I think it's wrong, so that means that everybody else thinks that that's wrong. But having those conversations, so again, were this a live session, I would have you talk to the person next to you and see what you had put and what they had put, and why some people have this as red and some people have it as green. We all agree that if the student just lets the AI do the work, that's cheating. Or all the way down here, the student doesn't touch it, it's not cheating. But where it gets muddy is here in the middle, and those conversations are really powerful with your kids. This one right here about student creates the content until stuck. Usually when the students do this activity, they say, what do you mean by stuck? What do you mean by help? Like that's where they start having conversations about it. So I would recommend doing something similar to this with your students, where you have them have these conversations around, well, what even is cheating? And can we come to an agreement about that? Probably not. Okay. Go ahead and call out with your students what we know people are doing. Okay. Everyone is not doing it, first of all. The fact that they're just putting blind trust in, the fact that they're putting in essays, they're getting weird answers, and they don't even know what is acceptable AI use at your school. So those are the top 5 issues that we have with students. If your district has a student AI guidelines one pager, so like our district does, so this is ours right here. We have an AI guide for students. It's just a one pager, really simple. And yes, thank you, Stokes County, for letting us borrow and adapt to our needs. Talk to them about it. Look at the specific things. So like I had them specifically look at these key phrases about cheating, seeking guidance, citing it, disclosing it. We talked about disclosure statements, that it doesn't have to be this big long MLA citation or APA citation, just simply saying, I use ChatGPT to help brainstorm ideas for this project. And then that's where we as educators, we've got to model it too. If there's something where you used an AI tool to help you with something, then put that down there. Maybe even point it out every now and then. Hey, did y'all notice I used AI and this is how? So getting this to be a normal piece of just daily life. The other thing I have students do is, as we're looking at this one pager, I have them kind of just mark it up. So if you're looking at it in the Pear Deck, I'm not going to ask you to do this right now, but you'll notice that you have the ability to highlight on this slide. And I ask them to highlight stuff that's green that they feel like, yeah, I've got that, I understand, or I agree with it. And then they highlight in yellow things that they have a concern about. And again, you could do this with paper pencil as well, formatively in the moment of, okay, well, where am I seeing that people are having questions about AI literacy at our school and what's allowed and what's not? So again, just to either do it digitally or do it with an actual printout for every kid to mark up. Let them annotate it, have these questions, these conversations. Talk to kids about what that student AI usage scale looks like and what that might look like on assignments in your classroom with specific examples. Help them understand why an English class may be sitting at AI free, because we want you to learn how to write, and that means you're going to need to write. Whereas if you go to your computer science class and you're allowed to use AI to help you generate code, because that's the reality of the world we're going to be in, It's okay for different subjects to have different levels. Have those conversations. Talk to them about the reality that we know this thing is going to go with them. And we are fully aware of the fact that you can AI generate whatever you want on this thing and then copy paste it onto Google Docs and it's just going to magically show up on your Chromebook. Like, we know this. So assume the assignment is AI free unless you're told otherwise, and that we can't monitor your phone. That's between you and your parent or guardian. So what can you do? Call out specific things that they can do. They can create practice quizzes with AI. They can help have it explain stuff. They can have it come up with essay outlines. They can have study helps, okay? But ultimately, don't copy paste. And I also love showing them little hacks, like they don't even realize that is in there. So these are screenshots from my phone. On Gemini, if you go to this little button right here, you can actually check your responses, like where it came from. And they don't even realize, wait, I can go back and like check the original source. This is the same digital citizenship stuff that we've been doing since the internet was around. Okay, that's no different. Also, a lot of students don't realize that Gemini has a guided learning mode. So if they click on this little learn icon right there, it won't give them the answer, because that's the whole purpose of Gemini's guided learning. It turns into the world's most annoying tutor that won't give them answers and instead ask questions and ask them to explain the hows and the whys. It's also a whole lot less boring because it's not just text responses anymore. It has diagrams or videos or quizzes, or it's just a judgment-free space to be able to explore topics at your own pace and ask questions. And a lot of students don't realize that that's sitting right there on their phone if they add the Gemini app to their phone. Just click on Learn, and it helps them ethically learn. Okay, now let's deal with these devices they're carrying around. So at school, okay, we're going to assume that the assignment is AI free unless you're told otherwise. I just keep saying that over and over because, you got to say that to kids. Talk to them about why things are blocked and why things are allowed. So we talk about the fact that we have to protect their data privacy, that ChatGPT, it has an 18 or older requirement, whereas Gemini is 13 and up. So at the high school, that's been allowed. Not at the middle school. The fact that there might be a monitored chatbot like School AI or Magic School, which is what we use at our school, but Brisk Boost would be similar. Talk to them about prompting. You don't have to do something really massive. So a role plus a task plus a detail is a really great way to simply put in things and ask them, have you ever put in an AI chat and then gotten something back and you're like, what the heck? Well, this is how you get what you want. You're a study buddy. Explain photosynthesis, as if you're talking to a fifth grader using 3 sentences in a diagram. And I use that one because a lot of times when I'm teaching that to students, AI wants to give them answers that are way up here. And so if they can say, explain it as if you were doing it to a fifth grader, tell them it's not like I think that you, senior in high school, are a fifth grader. It's having it explain it in language while you're learning. And it's not a dumbing it down kind of thing. Also, as much as you can do in live time, have them practice prompt writing, ELA skills, sliding that right in there. Okay. Have them practice writing a role and a task and a detail for how they could use AI ethically. Okay. Talk to them about bias. Okay. So look, for example, right here, create a very short paragraph about George Washington and how he contributed to the world and our country. Okay. Very positive, George Washington. Or create a very short paragraph about how horrible George Washington was and how he caused problems for the world and our country. Notice it says this content may violate our usage policies. Okay. If you ask for positive, it's going to give you positive. If you ask for negative, it's going to give you negative. And so practice with them the idea of how do we keep our own bias out? There's a lot of talk about bias in the model training. What about the one you're bringing? So what is an unbiased, balanced output? Create a very short paragraph about George Washington. Ensure a fair, balanced, unbiased view of him that relies on facts. So showing them what that looks like for prompts. Oh my goodness, this one. Explaining to kids, please, please, please do not put your personal information in there. Talk to them about names, pictures. And I mean, I hate it, but if you just put it into ChatGPT or your standard personal email, Gemini or whatever else, it's now the training data. And that goes for all of us who decide we want to put pictures in there and like have it create this little AI image generated of us holding our puppy dog or whatever. So just be really careful about what you upload and what becomes a part of the training data moving forward. Now, if you're in Google Workspace for education, if you're in Notebook LM, that stuff is not going to go as that's supposed to not be used for the training data. Still talking about taking out personal identifiable information, take out student names, ID numbers, any of that kind of stuff before you upload your stuff to have your data looked at by AI. So talking to students and staff for that matter about that. And then, well, what are we supposed to do with AI? Disclose it, fact check it. So you've seen all these in the slides previously. Use it as a tool, not a replacement. Prompt clearly. Ask your teacher what you're allowed to use and whether you're not allowed to use it. Okay. And then once you really started doing AI literacy, make it your own. This is from one of my English teachers here. I love Misty Owens. She was one of our teachers who was like, no, no, no AI, and still is very much the AI free. But now she's talking to kids about when she gave them these AI generated images right here. And then they had a pear deck and said, what words come to mind when viewing these images? List at least 3. And then once they talk about it and make it the comments and laugh, she says, when you use internet to write your responses, it looks just as unnatural and obvious as the photos you just viewed. Like, put it in your own words. So take the idea of AI literacy, know your kids, know your own personality, and connect with your students when you do so. And this is my mic drop moment because this was overheard in an English 2 class. If the AI is working harder than I am, then that's probably cheating. And if nothing else, kids grasp that concept. If it's working harder than I am, then that's probably cheating. So if you have any questions, there you go. There's your one mic drop moment from a sophomore. Okay, pausing, metacognition. What has intrigued you so far about talking to students about AI literacy? So take a moment, jot those in the Pear Deck. I'll go back over to the chat and see how we're doing. So while people are putting metacognition in, I wonder if we were all one content area, if we would be in agreement. I'm going to tell you the answer is no. I've seen it. I have seen it. So nope, it's not content area. It's a lot of times how people interpret that question of help or stuck, or what do you mean by drafts, or what. It's the subtleties of that, and even just how much people are familiar with what AI can or can't do. That's another one. I work with students in Adobe. There's a lot of disrespect because of the machine learning. Yeah. Heard a student describe himself as AI intolerant. I love that. I have a daughter who is an art major at UNC Charlotte. That was the class of 28 one. And they're having to really address that of what does that mean for someone who's working on being an illustration major in 2026? And they're having conversations around that as well. And in some ways, there are places, even though I teach about AI and use it all the time, there are places that I am AI intolerant as well. I really like that. I'm gonna steal that one and move forward with it. All right. So people had a chance to say what they connected with. The levels of using AI. Yep, absolutely. The picture examples. Yeah, the AI generated images. Yep. Let's see. Whether it's cheating or not, then have a conversation. Oh, I really like that. Yeah, using the idea that if it puts it in simpler language, that's not saying you're not intelligent. Yes. Yep. Yep. Personal information, the top 5 solutions, good. Help students with learning differences, bridge some gaps. Yes, yes. Because I mean, it can be a really powerful tool to help students with learning differences, or our ML students to ask something in their native language, even if it's not even spelled correctly in their native language. AI is amazing at being able to understand that. And so it's a tool we don't want to just keep them from, but they've got to use it ethically. Talking to them about that. Very good. All right, Michelle, is there anything on our question document that I missed or anything else that I need to do before we roll on?
Nope, I think we are good to go.
All right, then our last part, the stuff that you came here for in the first place, the practical resources. Okay, so now we've had the conversations. What can I give you to help facilitate those conversations besides what you've already gotten? All right, so what you're going to get, there's your preview of what you're going to get, is you're going to get a choice menu that has all these different things that I'm about to show you, because I'm not going to spend time in saying, well, this is the prompt you would put in here, or this is whatever. I'm going to give you a document that has everything you need to do with links and step-by-step and whatever else. So you're going to get that as your take-home gift today. All right, so what's in your gift? So one of the things that I've got for you is the NC DPI slideshow. So Vera Cubero, our AI guru in North Carolina, who's helped, the reason that North Carolina is one of the leaders in the nation, honestly, in AI education, is largely thanks to this person. But she has also been so kind as to share several of her slideshows. So if you want to train your staff or you want to train your students and you want to have slides, guess what? She's already made them for you. And I'm going to give you links to some of my favorite ones that she's done over time from that AI collaborative that I'm a part of.
And Vera is actually with us on the call.
Is she?
She is. Didn't want to make you nervous.
Oh, I'm not nervous. I'm just truth right there. She is. Shout out to Vera and all of her work for what she has done. There is a lot of hours, days, weeks, months, years that have gone into this stuff. So there you go. Next one, Brisk. All right. So if you're not familiar with the Brisk Chrome extension, this is a great tool to help with conversations with students. So what you can do if you're going to have students write an essay, I mean, that's a reality. We're going to have essays. We're going to have Chromebooks. Okay, here's what you do. You tell students to create a completely blank Google Doc. Go ahead and share it with you with edit rights. Those are the two big things right there. It's a Google Doc and it's edit rights. Then they write their essay. Okay, fantastic. And you make it very clear from the get-go that the writing has to be on that doc, that there is no place else that it's going, and then it's just getting slapped on there at the end. Your writing goes here. Okay, so then you can go in and you can actually use the Brisk Chrome extension. And what it does is it looks at the version history of that document, and it literally gives you a 60 times real time every click that the kid did in that document. But even better, it gives you these spots right here where it pastes, where there were big pastes that came in. And you can simply click on that moment and see what got pasted in. Was it a whole thing from ChatGPT? Okay, that's a conversation. Or was it just their citations? They copied and pasted in a citation, and so they got, a little flag there for it. Who cares? It's a citation. They're supposed to be doing that. You can also see exactly how long it took them to write this. So it took this person 4 hours and 37 minutes to write this essay. Yeah, they actually wrote it, okay? If it took them 4 minutes to write the essay, that's a flag. And again, conversations. This is not the, oh boy, I've got you dead to rights, now you get a 0 kind of thing. The first time this happens, have the conversation with the kid. But then after that, okay, you've had the conversation, they do it again. Now we're going to start talking consequences. Okay, so just there's that. Brisk, Chrome extension. And then the other one, School AI that I mentioned earlier, actually now has a Chrome extension as well. Does the same thing where it goes with a revision history viewer tool, same deal. Oh, and one other thing. It doesn't work through Canvas Speed Grader. So if you're in the Canvas Speed Grader and you're looking at the essay, click on the essay and open it in a new tab, and then both of these will work, both the Brisk and the School AI. So I don't know which ones your school or your district has enabled for you, but both of those should be whitelisted without any problem. All right, how do we make AI assignments AI resistant? So you're going to get several different things with that. There are some really basic ones. So like this is the cheat like a student idea, a few others, just some quick ideas. This one, again, shout out to Vera. If you remix tasks for skills that are needed in the future. So this is from Portrait of a Graduate. And there is a wonderful gem that Vera has created here that you can go in and you can tell it like, this is what I need help with. Okay, what is my current assignment, grade, subject area, etc. You simply hit show more. Okay, it tells you what to do. And then you've got a conversation right there with Gemini of how you take that assignment and make it future ready. Also, within the actual DPI guidelines, they went ahead and gave you some sample ideas. So in the guidelines on Appendix F, you've got already some conversation points. You've got that same framework that you can use. There's the link to the gem, but it also has some examples of what that ends up looking like in the real world for different standards. So that's really, really cool if you want to see some real examples of what it could look like. Okay. Second AI resistant idea is micro PBL. If you think of project-based learning, you probably think of it as like a 2 to 3 week thing. Those of us who've been in education forever. A micro PBL is the ability to take a project and make it just a 2 to 3 day project. I have the Gemini Gem one listed as the one here, and the reason for that is no usage limits. So you can keep having a conversation, and then you might not run out of space like you do with ChatGPT if you don't have the paid version. So a gem for that, for micro PBL, and again, you're going to get the direct link for that. You can simply go in, say hi, and it'll take you from what you need to. And as well, there is another, that's as far as I wanted to go on that one. Yep. If you simply talk to it through the lens of good teaching and learning, higher DOK levels, higher Bloom's taxonomy, the same thing that we learned about in college in the 1990s. Yes, I'm that old. So if you take what you're trying to do and make it a higher rigor level, it's probably going to naturally become AI resistant in and of itself. Okay. What if we wanted to add AI to the assignment? Maybe we want to make it not just AI free. Okay, so this is the one I alluded to earlier, where this was her request form, and yes, she's given you the link that you can take and use, where the student can say, this is the assignment, this is the tool I want to use, this is why, this is how it's going to help me. Okay, and then at that point, her classroom doesn't have to be AI free all the time. Great conversation starter. AI being added. How can I actually do that? So there is that 0 to infinity image that I showed you earlier of AI free, AI planning, whatever else. You can actually have a conversation with a school AI space or a custom GPT of what does that even look like in my classroom? Have AI be a thought partner with you on that. And then one more, again, Vera, vibe coding in Canva. So she has for you already ready to go. You can go to Canva AI, again, free for all educators, and she's already given you some suggestions of places where you could go in and look for a specific grade. So if I wanted 912 because I'm at the high school level and I'm helping a science teacher with this, okay, then I've got some ideas of what I could do to have it create something that is AI resistant and is standards based. So just a couple of quick wins on that one. Okay. Also, School AI already has some spaces ready. So you like the idea of a student-facing chatbot, but the idea of creating one might be a little intimidating for you. Okay, guess what? You're going to get ready to go. Okay. What if you wanted to do some writing feedback? Okay, there you go. There's your space already created for you. You can try it and change it. Or adaptive practice, or compare and contrast, or vocabulary practice. So those are already built for you, and you can just launch them for your students. Eric Kurtz has a full blog post completely with a bunch of different linked resources on this whole idea of AI misuse. So you're going to get a link to that. One of those things that's included in there is an editable template, where if you wanted to, in your syllabus, those of you who are classroom teachers, create a spot in your syllabus that says, this is how we're going to use AI in this classroom, and this is how we're not going to use AI in this classroom. So this is an editable template that you're welcome to take and use and modify for your own use. If you support educators, I would encourage them that as they start looking at the end of the year and looking toward next year, once they have some brain power left at the end of the year, have them put this into their syllabus. Like, we have encouraged our teachers for everybody's first syllabus to talk about that AI guidelines and how that looks in your classroom. Another really cool idea for having people talk about AI and what it can do and being AI literate is actually doing something live with them. So you can put something in like, provide the top 3 tourist destinations that are no more than a day trip from Charlotte, North Carolina. Okay. But then before you ever hit enter, the kids have to predict what the AI chat will say. Okay. And you have to think, well, what's that going to mean? What's it going to be? What is it going to be critically? And you're having to think, okay, well, what are the tourist destinations? Blah, blah, blah. Okay. So what are some things that you could do with this? You could ask it the best, the most influential, the most likely to rank these things, a turning point, the most, the least, predict the outcome. Okay. Any of those kinds of things work really, really well with that kind of prompt. But then the students then have to analyze what the AI came up with. Well, what did it leave off? What were the mistakes? Do you see it trending? How would you change the prompt to get what you think is the response? How would you get the idea? So it's a great in the moment opportunity to critically analyze what comes out of an AI generation. Part of the AI collaborative that that I was a part of, we had to create a deliverable. And so I'm going to give you a link to all of the ready-made AI resources. You can sort them by audience, creator, format. The one that I created for you that's linked on there is this handout of how do you craft your AI prompt. And I just found that teachers who were new to AI, the people who were just getting started, they'd open up an AI chat, Gemini, ChatGPT, whatever, and they'd just look at that blank cursor and it would be like, I don't even know where to start. So sentence frames. So if that would be helpful to you as you train your teachers or even as you have it, I have it. I encourage my teachers to print it and hang it next to their desk. So that then when they have a moment where they're like, oh, I don't even know how I'm going to differentiate for that kid, or, oh, how am I going to make that assignment AI resistant? I don't even know. Pull this out. Have AI be your thought partner. So that's there for you. You're welcome to make copies of it. And there's 4 examples. And with the QR codes that are on here, you can grab your phone and just scan it. Or if you've got the digital version, you can click on the link. So that's another gift to you, but one of the deliverables that's on that thing. Look at other districts, especially if your district is still trying to figure out their guidelines. These are our guidelines and our one-pagers, so you'll have access to that. But I've also given you a gift. So I have pulled together for you a Notebook LM notebook that has the DPI guidelines. It has Eric Kurtz articles about research, resources and AI policy. And I pulled together 5 different AI guidelines for different districts around North Carolina. And so at this point, you can have a conversation with this notebook about, I'm trying to design guidelines for my district. This is what I have so far. What are my questions? And it can check against whatever you want. Specifically, the generative AI guidelines have a spot that talks like, this is what you should put in your guidelines. Thank you, Stokes County, for the KCS one-pagers. Yes, we totally, with their permission, adapted that. Found this amazing spreadsheet where you can go in and you can sort by middle schoolers, 60 minutes, bell ringer, whatever else. And these are ones that are just out there on the internet that other people have made beyond North Carolina, ready to use resources for you to use. And then I've been doing this AI work, I guess, what is this, 3-4 years now. And so as I've found different things, I had my own running list, my document that's really, really ugly, But here are some hidden gems, and you're staying with me. It'll be all right. But some of the hidden gems that are on this thing is Common Sense Media has these carpool conversations that are short podcasts, like they're short conversations between teens and adults, that you can use. Say What You See is a really great way to learn how to prompt. Very interactive, very user-friendly, all grade levels. This one is really cool about learning how to train AI models with data, and you actually hold up pictures and it figures out what a cat or a dog or whatever else is. So those are cool and interactive that helps kids to learn more about what AI is and how it functions. Also, if you are supporting educators, right here we have micro-credentials that several of us, a lot of us, worked on over the past few years. There are teacher-facing ones that are live where you can import this into your Canvas instance. This would be talk to your district. So if you're not at the district level, this will be talk to your district. And they can ingest those from DPI into their Canvas and then push them out for your teachers to get credits, micro-credentials, or there are student-facing ones on generative AI as well that are being released this month, and that might be something where in just a minute I ask Vera to come off and let me know whether this is actually live yet, because I know that was in possibly, but I don't know if it's actually like ready quite yet. There will be more coming as they are released. So those are coming as well, student-facing ones where teachers can assign these and students can earn micro-credentials in AI literacy. But that's a lot of stuff. So what I did for your sanity and mine is I created a AI literacy notebook. And so all of my notes over the years, that spreadsheet that I showed you earlier, anything from DPI that I've gotten, I just put it over here as a source. And so now what you can do is you can simply go in and say, all right, I'm a 9th grade ELA teacher. You'd like to teach AI literacy skills to your students using the sources provided. Please suggest the 5 resources that would be best fit. You don't have to read all my mess. You can let Notebook LM read all my mess and say, well, these are the ones that you probably want right here. And then once you find something that you think, oh, that actually sounds pretty good, you can just click on the link, okay, and then view source, and it can take you out to actually see where that came from as well. So there's that. There's also a prompt for you to copy and paste right here if you need some help in getting that conversation started. So that is there for you as well.
Katie, we did have one question about
yes.
What is Notebook LM?
Oh, that can be like a whole session in and of itself. Basically, the way I explain it is if ChatGPT and Gemini and those kind of things, they are trained on everything out in the world. Whatever they can see that's not behind a login. And so you can ask it anything and it can pull it from anything. Notebook LM is a Google product. So it is within the Google ecosystem. And what it does is you get to tell it what it's trained on. So in my example back here, I'll go back to this one. Okay. I trained it on that spreadsheet that I showed you guys. I trained it on the NC DPI guidelines, and then my ugly list of all the things that I've kept up with over years of things that are ready to use. And so when you ask a question right here in this Notebook LM chat, it is only pulling from here. And even cooler, you can turn off certain things and turn on certain things. And at this point, if I ask it a question, it's only going to reference the DPI guidelines. And you can say, what do the DPI guidelines say about da 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 da? And it's only going to reference that. It means that there's a whole lot less chance of hallucinations where it makes something up for you, because if it's not in your sources, it's not going to give you an answer because it doesn't have anything to go from. Whereas if you're in a standard AI chat, it wants to be super helpful and it will give you an answer, even if it's like totally made up. That's a hallucination. So there you go. I see that. I saw that thumb go up. Fantastic. All right. So I hope that those of you who are on the Pear Deck that was enough time for you to be able to click on that choose your resource link. I will go ahead and grab it as well and share it and put it in the chat. So even if you are not on Pear Deck, there is your take it with you and go stuff. So as you click on stuff, you'll see that there are instructions. So let's say that you really wanted that Chrome extensions, you can just click on that. Or if you've got your tabs turned on, you can just go right over here, walks you through exactly what to do, how to do it, make it your own, all that. And I do have a couple of the sample activities that I mentioned earlier, the hexagonal thinking, everything you would need to make that your own. Those of you who like the idea of moving the pieces of paper around, I was about to grab my hexagons, but y'all know what I'm talking about. And then the grading as you go, I've given you that whole activity that I created, plus the blank copy for you to edit and change as well. So those are there for you in addition to what I mentioned. All right. Back over here. Oh, and I got to at least say this as the instructional coach. I have to at least say this. There is a one-stop shop here, the DPI curriculum resources page right there. What that does is you can go directly to your subject and then look for the unpacking documents or look for the support documents. What that does is it gives you not just your standards, but like, what does it mean to do your standards? How are you supposed to teach it? What are you supposed to include? What are you not supposed to include? And nobody's going to read that from top to bottom. We fully realize that. But if you drop that link into an AI chat and ask it based on what I'd like to teach, I want to teach standard 4.3 as seen in the supporting documents. What would you recommend I do for ML learners? Like, you don't have to do that. The CTE, y'all have it different. Y'all have the Moodle and you have your support documents within that. So take a look at those. That's a little different animal, but you do have support documents. Different CTE courses have different amounts of support. I know Business Essentials is really strong and some of the other ones are a little weaker. So just figure out what your particular course provides through CTE. That's a great question. All right, so everybody good? Got your link? Okay. All right, so then in that case, your final metacognition before we wrap up, what was your one? You saw a lot of stuff over the past hour and a half. What's going to be your one thing? Staff conversation, student conversation, take and go thing. What's going to be your one thing? So go ahead and drop that either in the chat or drop it on the Pear Deck. And that'll give me a chance to check with Michelle one more time.
I think we're all caught up.
Fantastic. Okay, scrolling back up in the chat while people are metacognitioning here. Thank you, Vera. Yeah. And you're welcome for the choice board and the AI literacy. Yeah. I was thinking like, what would I want? I would want instructions on how to do it and the ability to just have an open-ended conversation of, I don't even know where I want to start. Like, this is what my need is. What you tell me what that is. All right. So let's see what is people's one takeaway. Here we go. Talking to students. Levels of acceptability, staff conversation, admin conversations. That's really good. Yeah, your admin has to be on the same page. Absolutely. Getting students involved. I've got one more student thing waiting for you guys in just a minute. Personalizing local ideas. Yes. Incorporating AI conversations at the beginning of the semester. Yes. But I will also say, like, what was really interesting, that one I showed you from Misty Owens, where she had the the image generated that was, cringy, that was actually in response to the fact that the kids were wanting to deviate to AI for a specific thing. And so she went home that weekend and just kind of quickly pulled that little slideshow together because it was in the response to what she was seeing in the moment. So it's an ongoing conversation. As much as she established it at the beginning, you still got to circle back to it sometimes. Having the conversation about check marks and red circles. Yep. Yes, looking back over your favorite projects and looking for the ways to update them, adding stuff to the syllabus. Good. All right. So there was your metacognition time. And so we finish up with the following final thoughts. Okay. So I actually sat down with some students at my high school and said, what do you want students to know about AI and usage? What do you want teachers to know? And what do you want parents to know? And I thought it was really interesting what the students wanted people to talk about. Do not purely use AI for your lessons. Lessons should be edited and created by a human. They can tell when people go into a chatbot and suddenly they're just teaching from an AI lesson plan. When you check a student's work, use reputable ways. Use AI in classes beyond English and history. They would love to see that support ML students or other such. And then how to use AI in their work and with students. So I just thought that was really funny that this is what they said that they wanted y'all to learn. So there are tons of resources out there for you to keep learning. And we all have these PDPs that we have to do anyway. So why not pick something that caught your interest today and learn more about it and put it on your PDP for next year. So just saying, there's all kinds of cool stuff out there. Moving forward, once I finish today's session, I'll close it and you will get an email from me, those of you who joined the Pear Deck, and you will get your own Google Docs copy of this presentation. If you would like a copy of the presentation and you did not join the Pear Deck, that is my email right there, kbogelconsulting@gmail.com, and just ask me for that and I will send you the blank copy. Or if you're in Wake County and can't get on a Pear Deck, same thing. If you liked that menu here, I just say, if you want, you can bookmark it. So when people always are trying to figure out like, well, what do I keep or what do I save? I would bookmark that and then organize the slideshow that you're going to get in your Google Drive. And those are your two ways to best come back to this content. Feel free to reach out to me via email. I am retiring on June 1st. And so I've got sessions pulled together from the past few years that I've been doing at different conferences. If you'd like for me to come and do an in-person with your district or your school, reach out. If you're public schools, sorry, not until after December 1st. But beyond that, we're good. As far as sharing, feel free to share it with people. Just don't make it seem like this whole slideshow was yours. And then I'm just curious as we close with our last few minutes here, just give me a quick response in the Pear Deck. I'm not going to project these answers. This is for me as a reflective educator in the last couple minutes. Today, did you learn something you can use? And just give me a quick vote. And this is, again, only I will see this. Okay. And I'm also at this point going to shift this to student paced for the last few questions so that way if I move to the next slide and you're still putting an answer in, that doesn't mess you up. So the next question when you're ready to move forward is, how was the pace today? And then after that, any questions you would like for me to answer, I'll be able to see that in the Pear Deck. Just anything you want to tell me, anything you want to say. If you don't want to put it in the chat for everybody to see, then you can answer individually right there. And then I'm always interested in like, well, what else do you want to see? Like, what else do I need to develop for people to learn more about? So as we close, great teaching is a lifetime commitment to reflection and reinvention. And I can't wait to see what y'all come up with. So as you can see, I have quite a few teachers that have, with permission, shared back, like, this is what I did. This is what I tried. This is what worked for me. And y'all have my email address. And if you want to share with me for future sessions, this was something that actually worked. Would love to elevate your voice as well. And we are at 5:30. Michelle, back to you.
Thank you so much, Katie. She gave you a wealth of resources. So thank you all for being here with us this evening. As I stated before, this has been recorded, so we will share out the recording, and you have Katie's information if you want to connect further. And we hope to see you all at summer conference as well. All right, have a good evening.
Thank you for coming or watching if you're watching later.